But it's a great novel. It's about an AI intelligence artificial like Alexa, I guess, or Siri that wakes up. Go figure. That almost happened last week. I don't know if you are aware of the news around the world. And I say almost happened, but we never know if it is in fact happening already. But in the novel, the AI start a group of emails and connect people that were connected through love in the past. So they are all exes. So imagine that some kind of artificial intelligence goes to your email, yes, and look at your draft folder, those emails that you never send, and the artificial intelligence starts sending them. So that's the plot, the great plot of this novel. So it's a great novel. So taking this photograph and sharing it through social media is going to promote a very talented artist in my island. The other one is this one. I need to click my microphone because I'm going to read. Let's see. ¿Se escucha? ¿Se oye?
Sí.
No, se oye. No tanto, no tanto. Y ahora, mejor.
Ahora sí.
Better. Okay. This is a poet, an Afro-queer poet from Puerto Rico, Xavier Valcárcel. And this book, I went to the presentation last week because this published works cumplió los 10 años. How do you say that? 10 years.
Turn 10.
Turns 10 years old, this book. And I'm going to read a poem. But prior to that poem, I'm going to read an epigraph from another Afro-queer, very important poet from the island, Manuel Ramos Otero. Manuel Ramos Otero said at some point, "Who can deny that my voice exists as history exists in me by telling it? Who hasn't tried to organize chronologically the absurd absurdos facts of a dream and has ended up peeling off reality?" And the poem starts. It was in January, already at night, when we discovered behind the windows a pattern imprinted on everything. Thus, a suspicious emptiness in the common streets, a reduction of time to palindromic numbers in the clock, the fossil of the country in figures. I regret at that time regretting having decided to go to a compressed room without electricity, to recognize myself in spite of the interface. That night we knew from behind the windows, even the house, that the light of time came in disguise to ravage everything. We didn't hesitate. We still had the terror of adulthood in our saliva. In front of us, the meters. Above us, a lukewarm commitment in still silver. Firelight and Firewalls is the name of this book from Xavier Valcárcel, a great poet. Black creativity en vivo y a todo color, ¿verdad?
Mm-hmm.
And this poetry book is from Yvonne Dennis Rosario. So please take also your shots and share this in your Instagrams and your TikToks and I don't know what else is there. Facebook. And Yvonne Dennis Rosario, her poetry says in the back of the book, her poetry is completely transparent. It doesn't hide feelings or sorrows and shares pure and natural emotions. Her poetry radiates from the beginning of each word as life itself from love, death, and hope. And the poem, I'm going to do the same that I just did with Xavier. I do fragments of the poem, so you get curious and maybe buy the works of this artist. The title is "There Is You Earth Upon Me," to my Haitian brothers. And the shadow comes each time closer, tempts me to stop, to forget the magic, the voodoo, the syncretism, that I curse the Creole. I will be free of pain, of agony, of sadness, of guilt, of impotence. There is a shadow parked at my side. I look and think of it. It whispers like a child in the throat that heaps up pains and will not go. There is a shadow lodged in my body, and this is not my body, but that of death. I am the shadow full of death. I am dead. This is from Yvonne Dennis. And Yvonne Dennis is one of the authors that John Maddox created a chapter in his book. Did you know that John just published this book? It's amazing.
Thank you.
Give him applause. And he's so generous, tan gentil, hizo un chapter of me, Yolanda, Arroyo, Pizarro, and of Yvonne Dennis, Rosario, and from Mayra Santos Febres, which is another great poet and writer from Puerto Rico, and of course the great Dalma Llanos Figueroa, the writer of Daughters of the Stone. So I just give you, I think, a good, una muestra, a good sample of Black creativity. Some of them are Afro-queer like me. Some of them they are not Afro-queer, but they are great writers, and they use their Black beautiful voices to say something to the world. So, this is an artist talk, as explained by admired writer Ariana Brown, and this is a quote from her. I'm here to give an artist talk, which is basically a fancy way of saying I'm going to share some stories with you. That's what I'm going to do also. And she said, I'm going to show you some photos and some slides, and I'm also going to read some poems. So that's what we are doing today. I dedicate this talk to John Maddox and his students that have me yesterday. Is there students from yesterday here today? Thank you. Thank you for having me. And of course, my daughter, Aurora. So, in my words, what is an Afro storytelling? I love that quote from Salman Rushdie. We are storytelling animals, the only creature on earth that told itself stories to understand what kind of creature we are. That's what we do. And this amazes me every time I read this part, this quote, because it's so inspiring to know that whatever is happening in the world, we can put words, and these stories not only is telling my story, it's shaping my new story. It's not only what happens to me in the past, the last chapter, is shaping whatever is going to be my next chapter. Isn't that amazing? I think that's magical. So I have a poem to read for you because I arrived yesterday during what some of the believers think is a portal. In February 2 of 22 was supposed to be a portal. And since I'm an atheist, but also I love to celebrate some of these creencias. I'm not necessarily, against some of them. I'm just curious and asking questions about what we believe and what we celebrate. So I have this in English, so I'm going to read it in English. To love Afrofeministamente, telling me that you are, that I am the most precious Black woman of the multiverses. That you, that me, we are an Afrodiva. I am a protagonista. I am the Afro Marvel, Afro Maravilla. To be pregnant Afrofeministamente, to sing my Afro nanas, to pray our Afrofeminista credo, creed, to sing you lullabies and offer you prayers, to be Macandal, an Afrofeminist goddess, to say no Afrofeministamente to Christianity and Orichas misogynies and their machismo, to love my ancestras Afrofeministamente. To love Afrofeministamente. So, sometimes we have to give the finger to some things in life. Don't be afraid to do it. A friend told me today that at some point in his life, he has to give the fingers to some figures and to some names, powerful people that has been doing wrongdoings. So you have to do that sometimes. And that part that I wrote, telling me that you are, that I am the most precious Black woman of the multiverses, is what I'm trying to do with books like Pelo Bueno, Good Hair. This is the Puerto Rican published, and this is the Colombian version. Pelo Bueno. Pelo Bueno, because still, like some of you, I am a college professor and still in my classes, and I shared this yesterday with the group. Still in my classes, I receive young women that says, I never felt beautiful. I never felt like a real woman, like beauty is inside this Black body. Because society told us that we are not that beautiful or that we are not beautiful, period. And as John says in the presentation, I'm trying to change that narrative since young children. And that book, The Good Hair, de Pelo Bueno, en Puerto Rico se le dice pelo malo a casi todos nuestros pelos rizados. Ay, tienes el pelo rizo, tienes el pelo malo. You have curly hair, you have bad hair, that is bad hair. And in this conversation, there is a grandma and su nieta, granddaughter, and they are talking, and she asked the Grammy, the abuela, why did they say in my school that we have pelo malo, bad hair? And that abuela has to explain to the nieta the truth, that tu pelo doesn't commit a crime, tu pelo doesn't have bad behavior, it doesn't do trickery things, it doesn't treason anybody, and they start this conversation since it cannot be bad. Let's start not saying that it's a bad hair. Let's start saying always that it's a pelo bueno, good hair. So, that is pelo bueno. So, as you can see, girls in Puerto Rico having this book, and they're feeling for the first time that they have good hair, and they are precious, and they are Afro Maravillas, and they are Afro Divas like me. This group of girls was in the first summer camp of Afro girls in Loíza, Puerto Rico. Loíza is a place like a Palenque in Colombia. It's a place of Afro-descendant heritage. The cimarrones, the slave rebels, and the slave rebellions most of the time started in Loíza. So Loíza is our palenque. So that was so great. And I work with them, exercise. To the name of the group is Afro-Caribeñitas, Afro-Caribbean little girls, Afro-Caribeñitas, as you can see. That's the summer camp. And it says here we are Afro Marbles, Afro Maravillas. And we make this exercise with them that I ask them to put their hands in the hair. And let's try to imagine that we are showering our hair, no. Lavándonos el pelo. Washing our hair, thank you. And says beautiful things to your hair. And also, pídale perdón al cabello, porque a veces hemos sido malos. Ask her for forgiveness. Because sometimes, even we said, oh, this pelo malo. Never do that again. Never. Promise you that. And they do that, and it's a reconciliation. It's like a very own, very personal, very intensive and intimate Afro reparation, maybe is the word, for us. So that's happened. That happened in the summer. As you can see, this is another crowd. This was in Vieques, which is a little island from our little island, Puerto Rico. The archipiélago. We have other islands alrededor de nosotros, así que Vieques is one of our archipiélago. And they're doing the same. And this part that I wrote and that I read to you, to be pregnant Afrofeministamente, give me the memory of when I was pregnant from Aurora. That is Aurora. That is my Aurora. So at this point, you have to take a picture with Aurora in the bag and place it in the social media so she can see in Austin that her mother is always talking about her and thinking of her, and that she's my Afro Maravilla también. So thank you. Already took the picture, thank you. And use the hashtag Yolanda Arroyo Pizarro, loves Aurora, something like that. Be creative, be creative. So Aurora is one of my inspirations. There she is when she was little. She's now 24 years old. So that's the comparative. And look at the pelo bueno de Aurora. You see? I had to do that. Because when Aurora gave me nietas, that's what she wants. I need to have for those nietos, a better word. I need to feel that I do something, I did something. So that's also why I wrote. And also in this book, Afrofeministamente, I published the Afro Nanas or the Afro Lullabies because in Puerto Rico, not even once lullaby has the word negrita, negrito, my beautiful black baby. And I wanted those words that exist. And the best form for those words come to life is when you publish, when you write them and when you publish. And that's why the Afro Nanas is in there. This I didn't remember. I have my el día del nacimiento de Aurora. Look at it. I said to the nurse, I don't know how to give the teta. I don't know how to give the milk to the baby. And the nurse said, oh, she knows better than you. I go, this is the delivery room. Place the little girl here, and she opens the mouth and grab it, and okay, she knows better than me. Good. Perfect. And when I mean in that verse to pray our Afrofeminista credo, and this is another instruction that I want to give to you. I don't know if there is in your own religions you have something similar to the credo, creo en Dios Todopoderoso, or the creed. I believe in God Almighty. But I want you to do something for me. With paper and pen, or maybe in your smartphone, to write the verses, los versos. ¿Cómo podemos empezar? Haciendo un credo suyo. My own creed, my own personal intimate credo. ¿En qué usted cree? What do you believe in? Is in love? Is in your mother? Is in this university? Is in your companion? Is in your sisters, brothers? Write that first sentence. I believe, and you don't have to read it to me. It's going to be you and you. So do that tonight, because sometimes that's how a book starts, and we don't know if we are at some point in the future give birth to a contribution like that, maybe in a years, and you can say, oh my God, I remember I write that with Yolanda in that group, in that library in University of Alabama, maybe, I don't know. Do that. Because te creo en el pelo afro. I believe in my afro hair almighty. I started like that, just with one sentence, just with one verse. And then it came alive in this book, and the rest, is afro storytelling. This is Revista Étnica. Take note of that great, it's not only a magazine. Revista Étnica is a platform for Black creativity at its best. It has presence in Instagram, in Facebook. You can order it and have it in physical, in paper, but also you can buy it digitally with some platforms, issue.com or ebook. I don't know if it has in Kindle. But Revista Étnica is another cantera de talento, a lot of talent, Black creativity in Puerto Rico. They do this photo shoot, and this model was the first, the name is Teresa Carolina. She also has presence in Instagram. Teresa Carolina was the first Black trans woman to be in a cover in any magazine in Puerto Rico at that point. Teresa Carolina, with Revista Étnica. This other verse came from my belief that even though I'm an atheist, I have respect of what my ancestors believe in terms of orishas. But as I said also in the poem, I don't like the machismo, the chauvinism that come to the believing of the orishas and the religion. And it's a critic that I have for them. I know that they don't like that critic. I don't care. I have to have the critic and, try to be in the conversation of have a better word, as it is. It doesn't matter if is it an ancestral, millennial faith. You have to know that this kind of actions has repercussions, and we need to have better and secure and safe spaces for our women and for our LGBT people. And sometimes, not sometimes, some religions, they are not doing that work. Some they're doing it, but a few others not. So that's my critique to religion in that term. As you know, I'm a proud Afro-lesbian. This was in Miami last Pride celebration. Those anthologies are from Puerto Rico. The first two was from a group, this one and this one, Colectivo Homoerótica and Los Otros Cuerpos, were anthologies were for this is the first anthology of LGBT team in Puerto Rico. So if you want to know more, this is a start. And then after this one, a group of writers, they feel like brave. Oh my God, we can do this. We can be out and be a writer in Puerto Rico. Nobody's annihilating us, So let's try, and they formed the Colectivo Literario Homoerótica, or Homoerotic Collective. I was part of the collective, and also Xavier Barcasel was part of the collective, and Carlos Vasquez. So from there, we started our careers. And then we noticed, as always happens, that there was no anthologies from lesbians. That is another talk. But basically, and we know. Is the intersection, is because being a woman and being a lesbian is even less as being a gay man, publishing. So at some point, this group of lesbians, they feel powerful enough, and they made a group together and published these three anthologies. So that's what SLIDE means, that we are there. This is Angela Davis. I love that quote from Angela Davis. You have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. So every time you ask yourself, should I do this? Did I make a change? Is this este grano de arenita, is this pebble, is going to make a significant something at the future? The response is always yes, it's going to do something. So you have to do something. That is also that's the question, and there is also the answer. Yes is the answer. And if you have doubts, just make a group. Don't feel alone. The only time that you need to be alone is for writing, because writing is a very alone task. That's why you need the community to heal after you wrote whatever or after you write whatever it is that you're writing. And of course, I met Angela Davis in 2013. That's my photograph for showing off you that she was along me, beside me. In Africa, in Ghana, I consider her a mentor. And I also love this other quote: I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. And what is this? I don't know what is this. It was a mistake. That was my Twitter account, I think. Let me think. Oh yes, that's my Twitter. That's for you to know that I have a Twitter account at this point. Okay, what is the next steps? What should we do? Writing in community. So, the another instruction that I'm going to give you is to create a club. Do you have writing clubs here? Poetry writing groups? No. It's not an instruction. This is my invitation for you, for your soul, for your heart. Start doing it. As soon as you go out this door, when this talk finished, start doing it. You're not going to regret it. This is the group This is an anthology that was published after a group like that. An Afro healing group was started in Loíza. Círculo de Mujeres, Women's Circle in Loíza. Healing together is what it means, sanar juntas. Healing together. So we needed to create an Afro Writers Army, and we started it, and we wanted to write Afro her story, the voice of females. Because in Puerto Rico, you don't have an idea how little we have been writing. Not only the women, the female or feminized persons in Puerto Rico, of feminine, right? So that is why. No, okay. So, we started an exercise that calls the Africa and Caribe, a segment inspired in imagining. We have to imagine a slave that is now free. That is now free. And I want you to imagine if you don't have ancestors that were a slave rebel or were in this terrible process, but maybe you have an ancestor that were immigrant or an ancestor that had to accomplish something, and you know that. Start with that. Do that exercise using that part of the territory that is not Alabama. Alabama is the end, is the goal. But you know that they have to move from another state, another country. So I don't want you to start that now, but please write that idea. Promise yourself that you're going to maybe interview people in your family that know the facts of what happens. Because maybe your whole family is going to heal through that writing. Okay? So mark that as, of course, people of my colors, we can start in Africa, but not necessarily everyone is going to start in Africa. You can start in whichever part of the world to do that. And those are the examples of the writers that start writing. They're in Spanish, but as you can see, they use the imagination. Look at the Casimira example. I was born in Senegal, where the blood calls my name, my Yoruba name. My eyes speak, and they say that I am a negra, I am a black woman. And you know, it's that you can feel the power, you can feel the healing. So it's something that all of us can do. This is another example of the same exercise. In this exercise, and look at the poems are not long poems. They are, you know, a few verses. They start with Nací, I was born. So imagine that you are that ancestor. Close your eyes and imagine this is me, where I get to, where I was born, and start writing Nací, I was born in. You can do that. I know that you can do that. So there's another exercise called Ancestrans, inspired in the story of the archives. We went to the archives, we looked at our own last names, and even though we didn't know that we were part of that family, but looking at my last name, which is the same, and it's in the archives, is a very powerful tool. So that's another exercise that I invite you to do. Do that. Do that too. If you If you think that maybe you don't have a story of your family, well, start with this then. Start with this, because at some point in your life, you are going to attract more people of that same last name. I assure you, you are going to encounter a surprise. So that's another exercise that we do. And those are the product, ¿verdad? El producto final. In this case, Maria Fuentes was in the archives. In the other relato, Benito Osorio, they use the last name Osorio. This is another exercise that we do to work with Black creativity in Puerto Rico, but as you know, we can turn that and we can use it as our own creativity. What is your first memory? And that one I want you to write that down now. Your first memory. Maybe you were 5 years old, maybe you were 1 year old, maybe you were 10 years old. Maybe you're thinking, oh my God, my first memory was at my 15 years. Okay, we can work with that. It's not a limit, you can start with that. But maybe you have to later on with some other type of therapy, working towards to learn what your first memory is only at 15 years old. That happens, and it's going to be a growing for you, okay? So that's another exercise in terms of creativity that we use, that first memory. Efrani says, I remember when I was a little girl, when I lived in the second floor of my abuela with my mother, my father, and my sisters and brothers. I think of it and I feel that I was happy. Someday my dad says to us, he decided to show me how to run a bicycle without the little wheels at my 6 years old. I was 6 years old. We were in our little room. Me da risa. I start giggling because it was very uncomfortable for me, but I learned that it was una maravilla, maravilloso, marvelous. And this first memory, it's make me feel happy to remember it. She also included her favorite color. As you can see, my favorite color was the pink. It was feminine, it was very suave, very sweet. And she also liked a Power Ranger. Power Ranger, it was like a doll, right? An action figure.
Mm-hmm.
And she included also her favorite food when she was a little girl, which was rice with chicken, or chicken with rice. This is another one. Of course, when we are writing with Black women, we have to write about the hair. As you can see, my own journey, and with a book called Pelo Bueno, but they started to write poems about their hairs, about las melenas, las marantas, los rizos, las marañas, whatever the names they say. We also went to the flavors that has in our house when we were little, los afro flavors, los afro sabores y los afro saberes. I don't know if that happens to you, but in my house, the great knowledge sometimes comes in the kitchen. right? When mom and grandma were cooking. And then an epiphany, poof, an eureka moment just in the kitchen. So that happens to, as you say, yes, that happens to a lot of them because of how we were growing, and we use that also as a great example, a great exercise. John also talked to you about the both cátedras or the both chairs or the two groups that I leader, I direct. Cátedra de Mujeres Negras Ancestrales since 2015, Cátedra de Saberes Afro-Queer since 2019. And those are my books in Amazon. This is also part of the social media. You can access me or contact me through this, Twitter, that's my email, but you also know that I have Instagram and that I have Facebook. This is gonna be embarrassing. I also have TikTok, but I don't know how to use it. But there is, está ahí, para algún día aprender. This is Instagram, and then gracias. Give them applause for yourself. Okay. I'm gonna do something else right now because I want to read a few poems to you, but prior to do that, I had to do something. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna do this here. When we use the, how do you say turbante in English?
Head wrap.
The head wrap? Okay, when we use the head wrap, at least the ones that, the matriarch that show me how to do that. Oh, first the lipstick. I forgot to place. I've been talking to you with a lipstick in my lips, and you didn't say anything. My goodness. I love this color. It's the one that Lisa uses. Let's do that. Let's do that now. Okay. There you go. No, I cannot see in my phone. This much better. I'm gonna read some poems. Esa te salve Yemaya. Esa te salve Yemaya. Esa te salve Yemaya. That exercise of Diosa te salve Yemaya was a creativity exercise to deconstruct the Catholicism or the Christianity that I learned in my family. Porque, why Diosa te salve María, llena eres de gracia. Actually, I love that oración. But why not another figure? So I use Yemaya.